قدير وبالإجابة جدير يا ذا الجلال والإكرام. اللهم ارحمنا بالقرآن العظيم وانفعنا بما فيه من الآيات والذكر الحكيم. اللهم علمنا منه ما جهلنا وذكرنا منه ما نسينا وارزقنا تلاوته وحلاوته آناء الليل وأطراف النهار ابتغاء مرضاتك. اللهم ما قضيت به علينا من قضاء فاجعل عاقبته رشدا. ربنا آتنا من لدنك رحمة وهيئ لنا من أمرنا رشدا. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. ربنا لا تؤاخذنا إن نسينا أو أخطأنا. ربنا ولا تحمل علينا إصرا كما حملته على الذين من قبلنا. ربنا ولا تحملنا ما لا طاقة لنا به واعف عنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. ربنا إننا سمعنا مناديا ينادي للإيمان أن آمنوا بربكم فآمنا. ربنا فاغفر لنا ذنوبنا وكفر عنا سيئاتنا وتوفنا مع الأبرار. ربنا وآتنا ما وعدتنا على رسلك ولا تخزنا يوم القيامة إنك لا تخلف الميعاد. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. ربنا هب لنا من أزواجنا وذرياتنا قرة أعين واجعلنا للمتقين إماما. ربنا اغفر لنا ولإخواننا الذين سبقونا بالإيمان ولا تجعل في قلوبنا غلا للذين آمنوا ربنا إنك رؤوف رحيم. يا ربنا يا خالق العوالم حل بيننا وبين كل ظالم. يا ربنا أنت ترى ما قد جرى فاقسم بقهر من علينا جسرا. يا ربنا عجل لنا بالفرج ونجنا من ضيعة وحرج وامدد علينا من حماك العمنح سرانكا من حل فيه يمنى. اللهم احرسنا بعينك التي لا تنام واكنفنا في كنفك الذي لا يرام واجعلنا في جوارك الذي لا يخفر ولا يضام. اللهم إنا ندعوك بك في نهور الأعداء ونعوذ بك من شرورهم. اللهم اكفناهم بما شئت. اللهم اكفناهم بما شئت. اللهم إنك أعلم بأعدائنا وكفى بك وليا وكفى بك نصيرا. اللهم اغفر لحينا وميتنا وكبيرنا وصغيرنا وذكرنا وأنثانا وحاضرنا وغائبنا وحرنا وعبدنا وطاعينا وعاصينا. اللهم اغفر لنا أجمعين وتوفنا مسلمين واحشرنا في زمرة النبيين والصديقين والشهداء والصالحين واكفنا ما أهمنا وما لم يهمنا من أمور الدنيا والدين وكف عنا أيدي المعتدين ولا تجعلنا فتنة للقوم الظالمين ونجنا برحمتك من القوم الكافرين. واجعلنا من عبادك المخلصين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين يا رب العالمين. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Thank you very much, and let's do it better for him. So we shall now move into our headline plenary session, and it's all about the theme for this special Iftar service: drug abuse, a canker to our society.
Aye.
And the panel would constitute my colleague ADU1 Abdullah, who will be the moderator, and Dr. Arime Yao from the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, the prison's Human Resource Director, and Dr. Khadija. So very soon the session will commence, and I believe it's going to be an interesting one and an eye-opening one as well. So let's sit calmly as we get a place prepared for our session. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Alhaji Ishaku, Prisons Director, HR. Dr. Alhassan Ermiao Salifu, Medical Doctor at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. Please, let's do it better for them, okay? And Dr. Khadija Idris.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
So he has done the introduction. I don't know whether we add something. Yes, sir. You want to add something? The introduction.
Oh, that is it's okay.
It's okay. So this particular session seeks to highlight the problems as far as this particular theme is concerned in an Islamic perspective. Its economic toll and then the societal damage it has on us. That is why we are gathered here to deal more on that. So that we have students here, fellow men, they will get to understand what is happening with this particular topic in our societies. So, Director, I would like to start from you.
A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. I greet you in the Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Thank you so much for this opportunity. In my perspective as a prison officer, I believe when the doctor was speaking, he spoke about the effect of drugs. Of them is criminality, where people end up in jail when they are caught either abusing drug, trafficking, and also involved in criminal activities, which normally has a link with drugs. You realize that in our society, our female find themselves imprisoned. People that the society expect them to grow, to learn, and lead our communities find themselves imprisoned. And once that happens, it curtails their progress, become problem to the community, their families. If you are married and you find yourself in jail because of drugs, what happened to your wife? What happened to your children? These are some of the things that, as far as prison is concerned, criminality as far as drug is concerned, is something that brings a lot of people to jail, and we will ask people to avoid.
Thank you very much, sir. Dr. Khadija.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Permit me, the existing protocols and distinguished imams, to speak as a youngster behind the title. I'm a wife, and when societies destroy, mothers are always those to blame. Where I come from as a northerner, whenever somebody is excelling, they said the daughter of Mr. Idrisu. But when things get bad, they say Mamine's daughter. When I sent my two daughters to Tamale, it was because I was afraid they would miss their way. And few years along the line, when I had the headlines and look at the data, unfortunately, I'm a researcher, but we always have lost counts when it comes to data. We are not accurate as a country. In fact, Africa in general. We're engaged in drugs. 50,000 total from Tamale alone. And I paused to ask whether the reason why I sent my daughters were still valid. That's where the fear started. So when the call came, I had to honor it. Why? Because 60% of African population in the next few years, our grandfathers, our imams are going to sit back and hand over the mantle for us. Research has said that drug abuse can cost economies up to 2% of their GDP. How much is our GDP? And you wanted a beautiful and a God-fearing wife to marry, they will say you go to the Zongo. Today, that can be said. What are we not doing right as Muslims? In Quran chapter 2, verse 195, Allah instructed us that we should not use our hands to cause our own destruction. And beautifully enough, we are in the month where the doors of hellfire is shattered, and then the doors of Jannah is open. Where if Mr. Idrisu's son, who is an addict, is struggling with his family, I cannot see, because the amount of time we spent with our parents It's not the same we spend with our peers. And when doctor spoke, one of the key causes was peer influence. So drug abuse, and where I sit as a young academic, a researcher, is beyond financial and economic costs. Of communities. So it's important you and I speak to it because we don't even have the data. Research shows that about last year, the cost of drug abuse alone in the USA cost more than 54% of the state's GDP. No, we don't have beds here, and you know the amount of burden that it will bring to our health facilities. So drug abuse is not a cry of the parent whose son is already involved. It's a cry for you and I. And if we fail to fight it today, we will fight it when we have no option. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Of the problem itself, how huge it is. But for the meantime, Imam, you are from the medical field. We'd like to hear from you, your experiences with this particular team.
Thank you. Thank you once again. I realized that when I was giving my talk, story A, 22-year-old, Kolebu emergency, kidney failure. We had to get dialysis for him. Long and short story, he died. 22-year-old, he died. Story B, under 25, he has been put on some medication. By the grace of God, survived somehow. So he was put on some medications. So when the question comes that in the medical field, what are we seeing? It is disastrous, like my colleague said. It is disastrous. You see, there are some that God created some extent of abuse. However, in the course of taking those medications, if they do not harm themselves, they harm the society. We get a lot of road traffic accidents, and you ask yourself, what happened? And the stories are too funny. It's difficult to breathe. And all of it, then hits kids and hits maybe plantain seller by the roadside. You probe further, we begin to search him to understand what happened. To find drugs. So that is the extent to which we are having the medical burden. Apart from the fact that it affects oneself as well, medically, before the prisons and the rest.
So again, can we say it is really a public health emergency, especially in our senior high schools?
It is beyond.
Beyond.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, I want to add to what Doctor said. Research has said that drug users are from 12 years old and above, even beyond an emergency.
I think in addition to that, can somebody undertake robbery, armed robbery, without having link with drugs? It's impossible. You realize that all criminals, drug is the driver of. Person is in drugs before you go and rape somebody. He is in drugs before you go into robbery. He will be in drugs, whatever. So drugs is something that it's beyond something one can talk about. It is actually a disaster in our society. In our part of the world, you look at what drugs is doing there. Otherwise, just because we don't have the data, it's causing more harm than good. If we have the data and we lay it bare to the public, we realize that drug is something that we must use every means especially the prevention aspect. We shouldn't allow it to grow for the person even to come to the prison or hospital. No. Very critical. Let's prevent it before it grows to become something else. I think prevention area we are not doing well as a country.
Thank you very much, Director. So again, you are coming from the stone house where people's freedom are being curtailed. So I want you to, should we pay attention to this particular topic, substance and drug abuse? Why should we pay attention to that?
Once. And that person, once he get that stage, he can even kill his mother or father. Because hallucination sets in, he sees the mother as a stumbling block to his or her development. And if you look at those who come into prison with because of drugs, we need to rehabilitate them. Look at the financial burden to the state. The person come back, he goes to drugs again, he goes into criminality again, and everything is going well. So, as for drugs, like I'm saying that we need to prevent it through education, moral, and other things, so that they will not even get the drugs before we say we are going to. Because once the person get the drugs and we are saying we are going to rehabilitate, the society has failed. Why should we prevent it? And that can only be done through what we are doing today: education, education, education from home to whatever. And when we do that, we will be able to take a lot of people out of drugs. Without education, without early prevention, as a society, we are going to fail.
Thank you, sir. So, Dr. Khadija.
Yes, so Daddy said that without prevention, we are going to fail. And I would say, if we haven't already failed, there's a theory in finance, which is Crosby, and they said it's better to spend more from the beginning to protect yourself from spending even more in the future. We don't even have the data. And what you and I are seeing is just a tip of the iceberg. That is individuals funding their researchers. Anything that can intoxicate you in what minimal quantities, it's not even necessary. However, our religion is a beautiful one where Allah tells us that it's not about you sinning. You come to me, repent sincerely, I am going to forgive you. It is already a failure for us as a country. If only you have the time and watch some of the interceptions, the scandals. Quite recently, there's an operation going on from where I come from. Forgive me, I'm not a bigot, but sometimes you just have to reference home. The amount of drugs they intercept with the IGP Special Task Force is alarming. These are mothers doing it, malams, respected people in society, and they are shielded. Why? Because they want to get money. But they've forgotten that they are impoverishing themselves and the future generation. Because once you sell the drug to somebody's son to destroy, that same person will impregnate your daughter, and the angle continues. And when the mantle is handled for the youth to take the world, because by 2030 it's projected that Africa will lead the world in youth power. That is why you see people, everybody trying to be related to us. Because by 2063, about 86% of the workforce would come from Africa. And when that happened, you might have stopped a lot of youngsters who had the dreams to be bright. Where I came from, we started school on the threes. We walked about 3 kilometers to school, 6 kilometers each day. And there was a very bright man behind my house. I always go to him for my homework. And then several years along the line, when I graduated with my PhD, I asked my mother about him. And my mother said, he is selling drugs. I wept because from where I sat, I saw him as a role model, even as a village girl, not knowing where my direction would be by Allah. So we have already failed. It's up to us to look out for each other. Just because your siblings or your family are not into it does not mean you should stay unconcerned. Whatever you have to do, educate somebody, help them. The cost of drug abuse is underestimated. Unfortunately, we are the most unequal nations among many African countries. You realize that I research into inclusive growth, and you realize that every year they come and say GDP has grown this, growth has gone that. But we said enough. We want an environment where if there's growth in Accra, my mother will feel the growth, an inclusive, distributed growth. This particular canker is impoverishing us. Because imagine have to spend, according to the Narcotic Control Board, you spend averagely over 4,500 per month in rehabilitation. Of course, whilst the city dwellers will spend more, the rural dwellers spend less due to maybe differences in cost of living. But I ask you, and then I challenge you, that somebody who has abused drugs in my community would never get the opportunity to be in rehabilitation hub. And what happens to that? So it's a call to duty as Muslims, because they said you are not a Muslim except or until you care for another Muslim, just like you would care for yourself. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Imam, back to you. So before you come, I want to find out what should be the healing processes for victims of substance abuse according to the teachings of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Thank you very much. I'm a student of the religion. I'm not an imam, but I'm a medical doctor. Anyway, I'll try to. My imams are here. When I fault, I know to correct me. No. Now, on the brighter side, to answer your question, our Qari, who recited the Quran earlier on, recited from Surah Al-Isra, chapter number 17 of the Quran, and he made mention of one particular verse which I want to stand on. That وَنُنَزِّلُ مِنَ الْقُرْآنُ مَا هُوَ شِفَاءٌ وَرَحْمَةٌ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ وَلَا يَزِيدُ الظَّالِمِينَ إِلَّا خَسَارًا. Now, as Muslims, we are happy. We say we glorify Allah. The verse tells us that Allah has descended the Quran, that it serves as a healing to us and mercy to us. But to those who do not believe the Quran, it is just like a loss. They don't see it. Carry a jar of alcohol and the person goes to sell it, you, the helper, you are at fault. You have sinned. So Islam gives us a solution. So it is a call for this particular side to our imams, to our parents, to be able to link the ahadith and the Quran ayats with drug abuse or intoxicants or abusing of other medications, so that inshallah we can go for it. That can serve as a preventive method for a start, whilst leadership would be working on rehabilitation, and whilst we suffer at the emergency room with those who are already there.
Thank you very much. So, Director, in 30 seconds, summarize for us. What do you think?
In terms of Once I'm from the prisons, I always talk about prisons' relation to drugs.
and then fire service Muslim community, students representatives, ladies and gentlemen, and then media represented. Assalamu alaikum. It is with great joy that I participate in the 2026 annual Iftar celebration. This gathering is not only a time to break our fast together, but a moment to strengthen the bonds of unity, faith, and service that underpins the work we do as firemen and women. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm deeply honored to receive all of you today at the Fire Academy and Training School, a place where discipline and the spirit of fellowship. This year's theme, drug abuse, a canker in our society, reminds us of our urgent responsibility to in our communities protect society from social ills, which has the potential to affect the productive human resource of the country. It is worrying to see on our TV screens some of the effects of drug abuse, and it is becoming a national concern, a matter that we should all take a serious look at and see ways that we can curb it before it causes much damage. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the inclusion of students in this year's celebration has made it a special one for me because as young ones who will be taking over from us, those of us in active service today, so it is very important that we advise them and guide them on the choices they make as teenagers. I am proud of the initiatives of the Muslim community in the Gnfs that has been taken recently, including the intended donation to an orphanage in the central region, which reflects compassion and a commitment to uplifting the vulnerable in society. This is in line with one of our old objectives, which is to render humanitarian services to those who are in need. Ladies and gentlemen, as we gather here this evening, let us remember that our strength lies not only in the fires we extinguish, but the hope we ignite. I reaffirm my role as a mother figure to this family of service, just as I did last year's Christmas celebration at the Osu Children's Home. May this Iftar inspire us to continue building a community of faith, resilience, and care. You are all welcome to Fire Academy and Training School, and may Allah bless this gathering abundantly. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for your message. Ladies and gentlemen, so on 8th March, the team would visit an orphanage home to donate to them. And at this point, we would like to appeal for funds to contribute to that donation. To lead this appeal, help me welcome Lieutenant General Sahid, Assistant Director, Religious Affairs, to lead the appeal for funds.
Assalamu alaikum. So when the panel was before us here, the Hajia, Dr. Khadija, right? You spoke so well, and I said, hey, this lady Wabiun. But I was telling Captain Abubakar that, you see this type of women, at night, when you call them to come inside, they tell you they are reading. Doctor, please, when we need you at night, don't read. Attend to us. Now, fire. 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 You see, armed forces always sets the pace, but this one day you have won. Atakbir. In a sense that armed forces, we are not organizing Iftar. So if you see us organizing Iftar tomorrow, it means we learned from you. Atakbir. From here, we'll be going to the orphanage. Some of us, we've had water to drink. We've had dates. We had watermelon. Some people somewhere have never tasted the date that you are enjoying. And a dying person always regrets on one thing, just one thing. When someone is dying, there's this appeal he or she makes to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Quran is saying, وَأَنْفِقُوا مِمَّا رَزَقْنَاكُمْ مِنْ قَبْلِ أَنْ يَأْتِيَ أَحَدَكُمُ الْمَوْتُ فَيَقُولَ لَوْ رَبِّي لَوْلَا أَخَّرْتَنِي إِلَى أَجَلٍ قَرِيبٍ فَأَصَدَّقَ. That is the key word there. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, give a little, something small, out of the many that we have given you. Something small out of the many. Your 1,000 cedis, 100 cedis will do. Your 100 cedis, 10 cedis will do. Your 10 cedis, 1 cedi will do. Do that. And Allah is advising you. Do that before death knocks at your door. And when death knocks at your door, you tell Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah, give me more time now. Some small time, I need some small time so that, what? So that I will have the opportunity to give. Because you did not give, or you gave, but you gave very little, very small. But when Allah opened your eyes and you saw what you have built for yourself in Jannah because of that small amount that you donated, then you told yourself, if I had known, I would have given more. That is the reason you are telling Allah, Allah should wait, give you some small time so that you will give more. And Allah is saying that will not happen. Your appeal, it will not happen. But you are also praying that فَأَكُمْ مِنَ الصَّالِحِينَ. When you prayed, first you said, let me come back or wait for me small so that I give sadaqah and also be among the good people, be among the righteous. Allah is saying He will not do that for you. He gave you that opportunity, and the opportunity is now. He gave it to you, but you did not take advantage of it. So on this note, you are in the month of Ramadan. And you know, in Ramadan, whatever you do is double. If you sin, it is double. If you do good, it is double. Choose one. Now Allah is begging you. Shaitan is saying, don't give. So now it's between you, Allah, and Shaitan. Either you give to Allah or you follow Shaitan. If you do not give, it means that you are a follower of Shaitan. If you give, you are a follower of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Choose one. Me, I want to be among the followers of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, I am starting. I have started. Oh, who is taking? Not this one. No, we have to go round. Go round. Get 2 or 3 people. Then let them go round. But get the beautiful ladies. You see, men, when we see beautiful ladies, we give. We give. If the men go around, they won't get money. I'm telling you. If the men go around, they won't get money. Women should go around so that they will get money, get enough money for us. So the carrier, the one who recited Quran for us, where are you? The carrier. After reciting Quran, he ran away. Okay, the one who recited the kunuts. Kunuts, come. Recite something. As you are reciting, we'll give. See, the Quran will ginger us. If it's Kulu Allah, okay, just keep repeating the Kulu Allah as we go around taking our money. Me, I'm going to the high table. I'm going there. So you recite.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تتبعوا خطوات الشيطان ومن يتبع خطوات الشيطان فإنه يأمر بالفحشاء والمنكر ولولا فضل الله عليكم ورحمته ما زكى منكم من أحد أبدا ولكن الله يزكي من يشاء والله سميع عليم ولا يأتل أولو الفضل منكم والسعة أن يؤتوا أولي القربى والمساكين والمهاجرين في سبيل الله وليعفوا وليصفحوا ألا تحبون أن يغفر الله لكم والله غفور رحيم إن الذين يرمون المحصنات الغافلات المؤمنات لعنوا في الدنيا والآخرة ولهم عذاب عظيم يوم تشهد عليهم ألسنتهم وأيديهم وأرجلهم بما كانوا يعملون يوم تشهد عليهم ألسنتهم وأيديهم وأرجلهم بما كانوا يعملون يومئذ يوفيهم الله دينهم الحق ويعلمون أن الله هو الحق المبين الخبيثات للخبيثين والخبيثون للخبيثات والطيبات للطيبين والطيبون للطيبات أولئك مبرؤون مما يقولون لهم مغفرة ورزق كريم صدق الله العظيم